You have a child, you're teaching them math, you're putting along. They could be in preschool, they could be in high school, but all of a sudden you hit a wall and you realize they have no idea what's going on. Not just like they don't understand this problem or this book is hard, but like you realize they're missing something major in the concepts. What do you do? Well, if you like those kinds of videos that go into dealing with this, please do me a favor. Subscribe, like, comment, find me on Facebook, join my Facebook group, join my Discord, all the things. All the things. You love me, you can pretend to love me, you like what I give you at least. Go with that. And let's get into it. Okay, I am in the situation where I am currently teaching a child that I did not teach all these years. And I find little nuggets of holes, like helium pockets if you were digging for helium where there's just nothing there. And you hear the air leaking out as you hit it. What do? Well, do you try to explain the problem to them again? Go for it. But if they're missing the concept, explaining the problem won't help the situation. So what I recommend is that you roll it back a level. Now, we're going to get into like the logistics of what I mean by that. But I would go back a level. And if they're still struggling at that level, and when I say that, I don't mean the page before what you were doing. I mean, everything is built on concepts. And you can Google to find what concepts if you're not a big math person. But think about the steps you go through to solve these problems. Because a lot of this is going to start really happening in about 3rd, 4th grade. You're going to start finding holes of things they didn't really get the first time and just rush through. So, for example, we're doing common denominators and fractions. 1, I question his conceptual fraction knowledge a little bit of like really understanding that, something with a denominator of 27 is the actual same size as something with a denominator of, 9. But also, we're finding common denominators, which factors and understanding how those match up is very important. So the first thing I did is I rolled it back a level and gave him some work that was at a lower level. And then saw how he did with it. I explained how to do it, walked through it, spent some time on it. I'm not saying if they don't inherently just know how to do it, give up. But explain it to them. If they seem to be struggling, roll it back another level. If they still seem to be struggling, roll it back another level. Math is a foundational situation. And I relate this to digging for bedrock. If you go into an area where you don't know how stable the ground is, people who don't live in California don't know what I'm talking about, but the reason some places have basements is because you have to dig down that low before the ground gets stable. So we're going to dig down till we find where the road is stable and the ground is stable. So you just keep rolling it back. No, this doesn't mean if it takes you a month to get them firm on these things, you know what, if they don't finish a math book in a year, it's not a big deal. It's about the concepts and the learning and the progress, not about the ticks. So if they don't get it now, they're going to struggle with it later. So take the time to explain it to them now. If you need to slow their other subjects a little bit. It'll be okay. I promise, Mom and Dad. Now, how do I do this? 1, I was a math tutor. So when it comes to math, I kind of think about all the components that go into doing that math problem. So if you think about a good example, long multiplication. They're struggling with it. Are they struggling because they don't know their basic multiplication facts? Are they struggling because they are not good at adding multiple levels? Are they struggling because they just need some mechanical work with it? Look at what the components are that make up this concept. Now, you can always Google it if you don't know. But in some ways, as you start to do the problems, even with the teacher's book, I'm not saying you have to know how to do this from just rote memory. But as you do the problem, kind of jot down all the steps you take and what skills are involved in each one. So you can start there. The other thing you really can deploy that I'm using personally is I'm using worksheets. I'm using like drill worksheets and reminder worksheets. There's lots free out there, things like K-5 for elementary school. Khan Academy has some great lessons that are for free all the way down to elementary school in a lot of subjects. This is not just a math problem. It can be a writing problem or a spelling problem, anything that requires mechanics. So you can use Khan Academy, you can use K-5. I personally, though, pay, like seriously, $30 a year, the math worksheet site. So we're doing fractions. I was able to find lots of worksheets to be generated. That's one of the reasons I like it so much. You go to K to 5 through 5, they have like 5 worksheets on each individual mechanical thing, which was great. Don't get me wrong. When we were doing cause and effect with him, I went and used those because I could see he didn't understand cause and effect when we were doing story moderation, where he's like telling me about the story. Why did she do that? He struggled with it. So I went and found like sentences. We're going to take one sentence. Why did they do this? And it was great. But with math, sometimes you need more than the 5 worksheets. And the math worksheet site actually generates, you can give it some bounds. I want this many numbers. I did common denominators, and I wanted there to be at least one thing that had a factor of 2, because I find those make it easier. And I generated 4 pages like that. And I'm going to go in and do like equation boxes where you have to do an equation one way across and do a different equation down in order to make them true on both sides, if that makes sense. So if I said like 1 plus 2 equals 3, and then 2 plus 4 makes 6, then there'd be a number at the bottom that goes down. So yeah. And I'm going to have him do some more multiplication squares like that. And we're going to just kind of keep going until he gets it. And if because he doesn't seem to be struggling at this level, we're going to be doing factor trees and things. And so they've got a lot of free worksheets there. And frankly, we're just going to do it until he understands it. Because every kid is different. With this kid, I'm having to work in a mastery model, which is that constant spiral of constantly reviewing what you've already done. Some of my other kids didn't need that. They did it once, they learned how to do it, they went on to the next skill. Every kid's different. So that's one of the reasons I use a site like that too, to get some mastery worksheets. But don't panic. Just because they have a big hole, I had some of this with, different specific concepts with my other kids. I just didn't know quite as much where the bodies were buried with this kid. But don't worry about it. Just go over it. Just teach it to them. Just breathe. If it's elementary school math, you can possibly find some free games online. You can find a lot of things that make it fun. Kitchen table math always had some real approachable type things. But just breathe. Take a step back. Look for the bedrock. Look for the concept they completely understand and build on that. If you try building a skyscraper without any kind of support all the way down to the bottom, your skyscraper's going to fall. So just breathe. But it's not hard. If you need to take more time doing it and roll it back, roll it back. Let's be honest, all of you who went to public school, there were different math grade levels being taught in your 3rd grade class. Not everybody was doing 3rd grade math. Some of us were doing 4th, 5th, or 6th grade math. Some were doing 1st or 2nd grade math. Everyone still got a math grade for the year. And that's all my report card said was math. So don't worry about what level you're teaching them. It's about teaching them well so they can build in the future. Breathe. You got this. I promise. And I'll list some resources down in the bottom. I'll talk to you later. What are you struggling to teach? Let me know. Maybe I can give you some better resources. Bye.